Good morning. Today we will be working with topic 11, lesson 5. You're going to skip in your packet, you're going to skip lesson 3 and lesson 4. So on your paper that says 11-3 and 11-4, you're not going to use those. I don't think that those are some of the most important things that we could do from the topic, and because we are cut short on our school days and our hours in school each day, I'm having to pick the ones that I think are the most important for us to try to get through. So today we're going to be working with topic 11, lesson 5, and this one is called mental math, 10 less than a number. And when they say mental math, that means that we're going to try to do it in our heads. We can still use our paper, but our goal is to work towards being able to do it in our heads. And your I can statement for the day says, it's right here, I can use mental math to subtract 10 from a 2-digit number. And I should have already said, if you don't have your paper out, go ahead and pause the video, grab your paper real quick, and then come back and join us. So when we look today at our speech box at the top, it says, suppose you have 89 trading cards. You want to give your friend 10 of them. How could you find how many cards you will have left over without using paper and pencil? So I know that our models are on paper, but if we were at school, we could build this with tools. Okay, so we wouldn't be using paper and pencil, we would just be using tools. So this is a 10 frame, and when it's full, we know that there's 10 on that frame. So we could count our model. We'll count by tens on all the full ones. So we have, count with me, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and this one's not full. Okay, so we had 80, and then we have 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, or if you wanted to, you could say 80, 85, because that top row is full, 86, 87, 88, 89. So in our model, we have 89. If we wanted to give 10 of those to a friend, how could we do that? Okay, if you said we could take one model away, we wouldn't be using paper and pencil if we had that model in front of us. We could pick up that one model and take it away. That's how we could do it without paper and pencil. Or we can look at this and see that we have 89 minus 10. And I know that from what we've been doing the past couple of days, when we have a multiple of 10 that we're taking away, we don't change our ones place at all, okay? So we're only going to take that 10 away. So if I had 89, that means I have an 8 in the tens place and a 9 in the ones place, and I take 10 away, it would look like this. Make sure you can see. So I have my 89. They have it written like this, okay? So I know I'm taking nothing from my tens place, so that, or my ones place, excuse me. So that ones place is going to stay a 9. I'm taking 110 away from my tens place, and that's going to give me 79, okay? And what that would look like here would be 89 minus 10, okay? So I have, again, here's my ones place and my tens place. I have 9 minus 0, so if I'm taking nothing away, I still have 9. I have 8 tens minus 1 10, which gives me 7 tens, okay? So that's what that would look like, okay? Now, if we weren't using paper and pencil, remember, we would be able to look at that and say, okay, I know I'm taking a 10 away, and that's all, so what's 1 10 less? Remember, yesterday you moved up the rows in your hundreds chart or your partial hundreds chart, whichever one you were using, to take away. And that's how we could do this without using paper and pencil today too. Okay, all right, so let's flip and look at the next side, which shows all of our green boxes. Okay, so in the first green box, it says, you have used different ways to subtract tens. Find 35 minus 10. So here we have 35 We have 3 10s and 5 1s, and they want us to find out what 35 minus 10 is. They have slashed through that 110 there. Okay, so I'm trying to hold this a little bit closer today so that you all can see it as well. Okay, so if you look at your partial hundreds chart, remember it's a partial because it doesn't go all the way up to 100, and you can see that they have 35 circled in yellow right there. So if we're taking away 110, that means we're going to go straight up, because in columns they all count by tens. We're going to go straight up to the number that's right above it, and that shows 25. Okay, so if I look at my model here where it's drawn, I can see that the 110 is X'd out, so that gives me 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, so let's look at their explanation over here too. It says you can also use mental math to subtract 10. When you subtract 10, the tens digit goes down by 1, okay? So don't let that confuse you, because when we think down, we think going this direction, but on a hundreds chart, if we're going down, we're going back towards 0, so we're going to move up, okay? So I know we did this on Monday. It's hard to keep up with what day we're on. It says, I know that 3 minus 1 is 2, okay? And we talked about how doing 3 minus 1 could help us do 30 minus 10. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So 35 minus 10 is 25, okay? My ones place stayed the same. See, they kept it black. They have your tens place in red. So 3 minus 1, there's your 2, okay? All right. Let's look at this last. I'm trying to block the sunshine that's really coming through my window this morning. Let's look at this last section right here. It says subtract 10 from these numbers. Okay, so here we have 46 minus 10. Okay, remember it's the same. We're only subtracting 10, so we're only going to have to change our tens place. So if we look in our tens place, we have 4 and 1. Okay, so basically it's 4 minus 1 in the tens place, which would be 3, and our ones place stays the same, which is 36. Here we have 78 minus 10, and again, we're minusing 10, so we're going to look at our tens place. So we have 7 in our tens place minus 1 in our tens place. So that would be 6, and then the ones place stays the same because it says 8 minus 0, so it is 68. The last one on here says 95 minus 10. Okay, in our tens place in 95, we have 9. In our tens place in 10, we have a 1. So it's the same as saying 9 minus 1 is 8. So 95 minus 10 is 85. Okay, now remember, look at her top bubble here. It says, remember, when subtracting tens, only the tens place changes. That's it. You don't change your ones place at all. Okay, so let's look at our little question here. It says, do you understand and show me? Explain why only the tens digit changes when you subtract 10 from 76. Okay, so you can pause the video for a second. If your parents are sitting nearby, you can explain to them, why does only the tens place change when you're subtracting 10 from 76? Okay, so if you said, because I'm only subtracting a number in my tens place, then my tens place is the only one that changes, you're exactly right. If you're subtracting 0 from your ones place, because that's what's in a 10 in the ones place, then your ones place is not changing at all. Okay, so let's look at our guided practice. It says use mental math to subtract. Notice I haven't really done much on the board because we're trying to use that mental math. We're trying to do it in our heads, and they've got the models here for us for some of them. It says use mental math to subtract. Use 10 frames if needed. Now you can just draw your 10 frames. Even if we were at school, I wouldn't have a class set of 10 frames. We would have to draw them on dry erase boards. So let's look at our model here. Okay, so the first one, we have a model that shows 10. Remember, if it's full, it's a 10, 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, okay? Now, all of these today are only going to be subtracting a 10, okay? Because they really want us to learn how to use that mental math for that tens place. Let me see if I can get a better angle on my computer and my paper. There we go, maybe. Okay, So we have 26 and we're subtracting 10, okay? Look at your tens place. You have a 2 and you have a 1. So what is 2 minus 1? Okay, so if I have 2, I take 1 away. It leaves me 1. Okay, so I'm going to have a 1 in my tens place, and my ones place will stay the same. It would be 6 minus 0, which is still 6, because 0 doesn't take anything away. Okay, so I want you, in just a minute after I explain everything, to try numbers 2 and 4 on your own. We're going to look at number 3 here real quick because it doesn't have a model. Okay, so we have 98 minus 10. Okay, we're looking at the tens place. I am going to write this one on the board just so it'll be a little bit bigger so that you can see it. So it is 98. This is number 3 on your paper. 98 minus 10. Okay, so I'm looking at my tens place because there's nothing in my ones place here to change. Okay, it's taking 0 away, so my ones place is going to stay the same. So in the number 98, what is my digit in the tens place? Okay, if you said 9, you're correct. Okay, and then in the number 10, what's the digit in my tens place? Right, a 1. Okay, so I'm going to look at that. What is 9 minus 1? Okay, and I can do that in my head. That's easy. 9 minus 1 is 8. Okay, my ones place is going to stay the same because it is taking 0 away from it. So 98 minus 10 is 88. Okay, all right, let me show you what you're going to do. Okay, I'm going to explain the rest of it. You're going to go back and you're going to do numbers 2 and number 4 and have someone check them to make sure they're correct before you move on. And then I want you to look at the back side. Okay, you're going to practice taking, if you look at every one of these, you're only taking 10 away. Every one of these, your ones place is going to stay the same. Okay, you aren't subtracting anything. So whatever your digit is in the ones place in your first number, that's going to be the digit that's going to go in your ones place in your answer. Okay. Here, number 14 says subtract using tens, frames, and mental math. Complete the related addition equation. Okay, so these are like fact families. When they say related addition, it's a fact family, the addition part of a fact family. Okay, and she says think about how the digits change when you subtract tens. All right, so the first equation that you're going to solve is 39 minus 10. Okay, so that means we have 3 tens and 9 ones. We're going to take a 10 away. Here, they have blank plus 10 equals 39. So what did you have to add to the 10 to get 39? Be careful because you're swapping from subtraction to addition. Okay, let's flip over and look at the back. All right, number 15 says, or let me go over the directions. Again, it's the same thing. Use mental math to solve the problems below. Number 15 says Jamal has 43 stamps on his desk. He puts 10 stamps in a notebook. How many stamps are left? Okay, so there's that part, whole map. So part, you know the one part, what do you have to put on the other side to make the whole equal 43? So you're adding 10 or subtracting 10 from your whole, adding 10 to another part, or subtracting your part from your whole to figure out what your other part is. Okay. Number 16, it says Ed brings 27 oranges home. His family eats 10 of them. How many oranges does Ed have left? Find the difference. So the difference is the answer. When we add numbers, we find the sum. When we subtract numbers, we find the difference. Okay, so what is the difference? 27 minus 10, what does that equal? Be sure you put your answer in your label. Okay, number 17, it says write a subtraction story about 56 minus 10. These are subtraction stories up here. Make up your own using 56 and 10. Okay, and then solve it and tell me what your answer is. Number 18 says, Marta has 44 beads. She uses 10 of the beads to make a necklace. How many beads does she have left? Write and solve the equation for this story. Okay, so they have a story problem. There's 3 examples of story problems there for you, so you should be able to write one here. Be sure in your story problem that you ask a question, okay? Their question, how many beads does she have left? You're going to write and solve the equation for that story problem and then put your answer in the label. Okay, good luck.